Hello, hello. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending where you are in the world. Thanks for joining us for a session on discussing the latest changelog. I know we didn't run this in the latest months, but we thought it's a good opportunity to walk you through our latest changelog. And as a quick reminder, we always have it on in our page. It's easy to go through, and you can see the latest edition. As you open the link, you find it at codesandbox.io/changelog, but following down the page, you can easily go to one of our previous changelogs. We had really busy days here at CodeSandbox, so do check the one in December and one in November. Because last month in January, we had one of the biggest releases at CodeSandbox. I'm more than happy to have my colleague here, Necoline, our head of product, to give us a walkthrough of what we launched last month. Hey there, Necoline. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, happy to be here.
Did you had a chance to breathe after the big release last month, or are we still on the crunch side?
Oh, well, it's always an exciting time. I think it's a lot of fun to see all the numbers come in, and then of course there's always so much to improve afterwards. So it's a bit of both, I think, a bit of celebration and still a lot of creative work happening over here.
Oh, indeed. And thanks for mentioning that is still, adding the stuff after the release. A big thank you for those that already share feedback with us, those that raise their concerns. We are more than happy to do more of like questions and answers for different situations. Can you work your product? Can you upload your project? So if you have more questions for us or even feedback, please be welcome to share it with us. We are more than happy to take this in. Okay, let's see what we prepare for this session. What you want to show us, Nicolene?
I'd like to take you through some of the changes and show you where you can find all of the important tools and features that I think you guys will be interested in. So, if you have been on a free workspace and you haven't logged in the last week, if you do log in for the first time after the release, you will see this wonderful welcome banner that does a good job of explaining what are the key features that you would want to know about. So, first off, what we're doing is slightly different with your subscription. If you are on a free plan, you will now be moved over to a usage-based billing plan. That has a lot of different perks and changes for you to consider. The first is that private sandboxes, dev boxes, repositories are all available to you. As you can see, that's listed here, but I can show you exactly what that looks like if you want to play around with the settings there. The next change is that you are no longer paying per seat because you're paying for your usage. Now, I'll stop there and say that when I say usage, I'm specifically talking about virtual machine usage. So this is the usage of dev boxes and repositories. So on a free workspace, we have a limit of 5. The reason we have this limit is that we want you to be able to maximize your your free VM time, and then when you want to have more VMs, then you can upgrade to free. And then, of course, the member limit goes up from there. If you want to invite people, there's a link here. It'll take you to this workspace portal. I'll be talking a little bit more about this because we've made a lot of changes to this workspace portal. This is available. If you go back to your recent page, you can also come back through the settings icon here. Last is that because we have talked about these DevBox or virtual machine credits, we are giving away free credits on your free workspace, about 400 or exactly 400 credits for per workspace. So depending on which VM tier you select, if you have the default is Nano, and I'll describe more about that, but that will give you about 40 hours of VM time per month. So we have a lot of tools that we introduce in order for you to be able to track these VM hours and your credits. So I'm going to open up the workspace portal here and kind of walk through this. So you know this one, it's not really too different. You can see all of your members. You can add more members here. Also update the authorization for the members you're going to invite, or just send over a URL like on your Slack channel, or if you just want to bring people over to work on a dev box with you, you can do that immediately. Next is permissions. I can go ahead and make by default all new sandboxes or um, dev boxes private by default. When you create something through the create modal, it will go to a private by default. The reason that we have this default set is that your dev boxes will be all the dev boxes that are running on your workspace are going to be billed to your workspace. So starting out with private, so only people that are part of your workspace can run them, is a good way to control that usage. Now, over here in the billing, we have this overview of how many credits you've used, how many you have remaining for the month. And so you can kind of see that tick down. Once you've used all of them, you can either wait for the month to renew and get another 400 credits, or you can upgrade. Now, when you upgrade, you get an additional 500 credits, and then we threw in an additional 100 to make it even 1,000. So have 1,000 credits per month that you can use for the whole team. So you can easily upgrade to Pro. And if you do that, I'll show you what the view looks like.
Mhm.
So when you start a new workspace, you'll see this. You can choose which tier you'd like it to be a part of. It gives you a breakdown of what you get. You have different storage as well. You can go up to 50 gigabytes of storage per VM. So that's the disk space per VM. So it's for each dev box, you get 50 gigabytes for each repository. And we haven't really seen anyone run into this um, as a limit for their use case. We really wanted to give you as much storage as you need.
Mhm.
And you also get more options with your VMs. So this is a really good overview if you want to see all the breakdowns, the different credits per VM tier and how much you get, and a lot of FAQs. This is a great page
Mhm.
to visit, even if you've already been on Pro and you want to understand what you can, what's part of it. Now, controlling your virtual machine usage is something that is really important when you want to make sure that your usage matches your expectation. So what we have is we've got an overview. You can see that in this month I haven't run any credits, or I don't have any breakdown. You'll get an overview for every hour spent.
Mm,
But
okay.
if you spend less than an hour, we will still track that in your credit usage. Now over here, this is what I think you'll be most interested in, is that we have a default for any new dev box or repository that's imported. If it's on free, it's on Nano, just because we want those by default, your VMs to spread across the month as much as possible. But you can easily change this and make this micro if you want. Now, if you're on Pro, you can go up even higher and go up to Nano. But let's say that you want this to be um, on micro, but you have a specific dev box or repository that needs a different spec. So here I can say for my repository, I don't know if I have it for my dev box, I know that I don't really need I don't need a full
Mhm.
micro allocation. So for this dev box in particular, I'm going to allocate it to be nano. So by default, new things will run on micro, but this will never have those high VM allocations to it because it's just a small example and it doesn't need that. This is a workspace overview. If you have a subscription and you want to see details about um, your current subscription, you'll have a link to your customer portal here. And then one last thing that I want to mention on the subscriptions is right now, this Pro is just a base plan. And this is important to understand because you might want more than 1,000 credits, or might want more than the sandboxes, the 100 sandboxes allocated here. So if I come in and select Pro, I can then add more VM credits
Mm,
or
yeah.
more sandboxes. And we have this base price here, but then, the more you buy, the more you save, so you can add more VM credits or more sandboxes to your subscription here. The other thing that's worth noting is that we also have a spending limit. So if you are on Pro, you will have 1,000 credits that you can use, or if you bought more, you have more. Now, once you use that, instead of putting you into a frozen state, we'll actually start using on-demand credits, which will be billed at the end of the month. Now, we don't want any surprise bills coming to you. So in this step in the checkout state, you can say how much the max is. So you can even make it $1 if you want. You don't really want any additional on-demand credits. That's totally fine. But if you want more than that, that's a really good way to test out how much VMs you actually need for a given month, depending on what you're working on and who you're working on or who you're working with. Um, all right. Now, um, that's a good overview of how usage-based billing works. Next, I want to talk about sandboxes. Previously, we had a different balance of sandboxes. Now you have to, on free, you have a limit of 20 sandboxes. And then, like I mentioned, Pro gives you 100 with the option to purchase more. Now, if you have more than 20 sandboxes, we will keep the most recently accessed sandboxes as the ones that are available. When you move to Pro, you'll have more options there.
And these are the public one versus private one, because I think that was also a debate with online people being afraid that their previous sandbox will disappear. They will not disappear. They will enter in the read-only state, those previously made. But I'll let you add more details.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you brought that up. That when we say it's restricted or there's a limit, anything that's over that limit, exactly like you said, it will be in a read-only state, which means that if you have that shared anywhere, users will still be able to see those code examples. So nothing's going to break. It's just a matter of if you want to use them. Now, and this is really important when we talk about drafts because we've slightly changed the way we work with drafts. Drafts are, I think, previously have been a default location for a lot of work. So if you create a sandbox for the first time, we'll put it into drafts automatically unless you decide you want it to be somewhere else. Now, what's important to note is that we only count towards the limit for a workspace sandboxes that exist outside of your drafts. So on free, it's 20. If it's pro, it's whatever you've purchased. And on drafts, these are more supported as sandboxes or dev boxes for you to work on. And so the way that we've set this up now is that when you create a draft, from this point forward, it will always be private to you. So you'll be the only one that can work on it. You're the only one that can see it. If you want to share that with people in your workspace, you would just move this to all dev boxes and sandboxes. So I'm going to show you what this looks like because right now I haven't touched anything since the release. So I've got 3 dev boxes or 2 sandboxes, 1 dev box. I want to open this one and I want to start working on it. Right now it's in a read-only state because when I created it as a public sandbox, but drafts are not allowed to be public anymore because they're supposed to be private to you. So when you open this, this is going to be in a read-only state. Again, if you had this shared somewhere else, it will be in a read-only state. It won't break. But if I want to work on it, then I can just make it private. Or, of course, I can always convert any sandbox to a dev box and the limits won't apply to dev boxes. But for example's sake, I want to make this private and then I will be able to edit this and play around like normal, making this sandbox truly a draft because it's within my own privacy scope. Now, I want to show you well, first off, there's one thing I want to mention, which is that we have introduced Codium to sandboxes. Previously, it was only available for dev boxes and repositories. On free, you have a limit of, I think it's 100 suggestions that you accept. And then after that, if you are in pro, it's unlimited. So this will be quite useful, I think, for people to get things up and running really quickly. Codium has been a real favorite of ours since we introduced it last year. And then if I move this over to a dev box, again, the restrictions for sandboxes will be removed. So this is a great way to uh, get around the sandbox limits, is just convert them to a dev box. And the one thing I want to highlight here is we have introduced, oh, I have to move this out of
Mm.
a private, obviously, or out of my drafts if I want to share this. Um, so I can move so I move this just by clicking that button, I've moved this into the workspace collection. And now that it's not a draft anymore, I can share this with collaborators. These are people that are part of the workspace. And I can also do a live session. So I just simply share this link and people can come and work with me regardless of whether or not they're part of my workspace. This was something that was on our old editor for a while. We finally brought it over. It's an enhanced version. It works a lot faster and smoother. So I invite you to check it out. And I think that is everything that I wanted to take you all through. Do you have anything that I missed, or do you have any questions, Joanna?
No, I think it was really nice. Also, like that you mentioned or ended in the live session because it's one of my dearest features that we have. Definitely encourage everyone to try it. I love how you can track someone, we can follow someone, so it's easier to do all work between onboarding or peer programming, which is 100% vital in our field, or even debugging stuff, like whenever you find something and you're not sure, like which line are you where from, live session and the following option is the easiest one to use in your team. I think we're good covering. It was a lot of novelty, I mean, and all makes sense for me. I really like. I hope that the user also likes the changes that we make. Again, you mentioned, and I want to emphasize is that we did it for their own good on terms of usage. We look to improve their experience to have the maximum when they use a VM. Um, I do understand some of the limits are confusing. We do tackle some of them in the FAQ. We also reply on social media for answers there. That's why I also wanted to emphasize the difference between public draft, which is it was also mentioned in demo. What else we have in the changelog? I think we covered a lot, like always, a lot of bug fixes, improvements that are not necessarily mentioned with demos or links in the changelog, but do check them out. And yeah, let us know how you feel about it. Two things that I want to add in this discussion is that for those that work with open source projects, I know the limit can be intimidated or even have, a lot of people that need to access their sandboxes or dev boxes. So we did create for open source a new program in which we try to support open source software projects. We call it CodeSandbox Friends. Do check it out. And if you qualify, apply. We do support a few already. And we want to emphasize again, open source software is very dear to us, so don't hesitate to reach us. If you have other questions or want to, get in touch with us about an issue that you have or a feature that you think is might be helpful, I do invite everyone to join our circle community at codeandbox.community, in where you can both see tutorials how to use the product. You can be up to date with our announcements, um, and also use other parts of the community, like asking them for help or check events, testimonials, again, as I mentioned earlier, bugs and feature requests. So yeah, I think that would be all for this time. One thing with the golden tickets, we just announced the first milestone that we reached the 3 millionth user, and we still have 4 more to go. So use CodeSandbox as your platform, and for sure will be have a chance to be the lucky winner. Yeah, coming back to you, Necoline, thanks so much for joining and walk us through all the changes or most of the changes that we had last month. I invite everyone to go and unwrap the changelog full of goodies, and let's hope we see us next month with even more things to share with our users. Thanks so much.
Thank you.